that delicious, buttery, flaky crust, that creamy chicken filling. Chicken pot pie is the ultimate comfort food. And after weeks of testing, many heated debates in the Tasty Kitchen, and buying out all of the most popular frozen chicken pot pies, we now have the most perfect homemade chicken pot pie recipe just for you. Let's talk chicken. There are many options you can go with. To save time, you can opt for a store-bought rotisserie chicken that's already been seasoned for you. It's easy, it's fast, and it's a popular shortcut that many people use. But to us, roasting the chicken and making the stock from scratch is a must. Chicken is the base of our recipe, and we want to start on the right foot by flavoring our dish from the very beginning. We recommend picking the highest quality chicken you can find. It will have the best flavor, and it will also make the best stock. We're going to start by patting the chicken dry with some paper towels to remove all of that excess moisture on the chicken. If you skip this step, the skin is going to be way too wet and all your butter is going to slide right off. Alright, the cavity. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of kosher salt because, fun fact, the best way to season your chicken is from the inside out. Please don't skip this step. Now we want to make sure our chicken is nice and seasoned on the outside. We loved the combination of butter, garlic powder, black pepper, thyme, and lemon zest. So good. It's important that the butter is room temperature so everything mixes together really easily. If you try to use cold butter, it won't even combine. Now we got this beautiful compound butter. Let's rub it all over the chicken. Make sure you get under the skin, get every nook and cranny. You can even push it a little bit like this to get to the outer parts. Then we're gonna rub the thighs and the chicken breast as well. Your chicken should be evenly coated with your butter mixture on the inside and outside. If you're having trouble getting the butter under the chicken, just stick your finger in there to loosen the seal between the chicken breast and the skin, making sure you get every nook and cranny. I know this is a little weird, but just embrace it. This is the key to getting the most juicy, flavorful chicken. All right, back to the cavity. You're just gonna add your lemon quarters, chopped onion, and halved garlic. This is gonna help add even more flavor and aromatics to your chicken. Now it's time to tie the chicken, and we're pretty much just doing this to help keep the moisture in. So with some butcher's twine, we're gonna tie the legs together, and this will help the bird hold its shape while it's roasting. And don't forget to tuck those cute little wings in so they don't get burnt. Now we're going to transfer our chicken into a roasting pan that has a rack in it because all the juices from the chicken are going to drip out, and then we're going to add that to our stock later to add even more flavor. Roasting your chicken will honestly depend on the size. If it's a smaller bird, roast it for about 60 minutes. If it's a larger bird, roast it for about 80. You want to insert your thermometer in the thickest part of the chicken thigh, and if it reads 165, it's done. Let it rest for at least 20 minutes. This is going to help the meat reabsorb all its juices because nobody wants a dry chicken. Now it's time to break down the chicken so I can use the bones for the stock and the meat for my filling. First, what you're going to do is take off one of the thighs. This is the easiest part to get off first, and it really should just pull away. Make sure you put that skin in your stock pot because we're going to use it to make this amazing stock. And fun fact, chicken skin actually has a ton of collagen and will add a lot of flavor to our stock. Alright, so take the meat off the chicken, shred it into small pieces, put the meat in one bowl, and add the bones to your stock pot. So to get the breast off, we're going to take the tip of our knife and run it from the top of the breastbone to the bottom, and this is going to help separate the breast meat from the bone. If you're worried about getting it off in one piece, honestly it doesn't matter because we're going to shred it anyways, and we're just trying to get the meat away from the bone so we can use it to make stock. You can see we have some big chunks and we have our little chunks. We like to shred it into 1/2-inch pieces so every bite has the perfect amount of chicken ratio to gravy to veggies, but you know what, do you here. If you want some chunks, leave some chunks. Once all your chicken is nicely shredded, just transfer it to an airtight container and keep it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. Now I'm going to take this chicken carcass and put it in our stock pot. And now it's time to make our stock. Again, we're doing it from scratch. It really just is the best way to do it. It will add so much flavor to the filling and really enhance your dish. We tested it in a stove and a pressure cooker. There wasn't a difference in taste, but it was much faster in the Instant Pot, about 1/4 of the time it took on the stove. So today we're going to save some time and use the pressure cooker. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. Just simmer it on your stove for 4 to 6 hours. It will still taste delicious, I promise. So to the stock, you're going to add onions. This one's literally a must. Don't skip it. Garlic, my personal favorite. Carrots, celery, peppercorns, fresh thyme and parsley, and lastly, a bay leaf. Now we're just gonna pour some water into our pot. For us, this took about 12 to 16 cups. Just make sure your chicken carcass is covered by at least 1 inch of water. And that secret ingredient you cannot forget. Add in those juices from roasting your chicken. If you're wondering where the salt is, I hear you, but don't add salt before you cook your stock. You never know how much the stock is going to reduce, and you don't want it to be overly salty. How easy was that to make homemade chicken stock? We're just going to cook it on high for 45 minutes and then strain it. Ah, the pie dough. That buttery, flaky goodness that makes many believe the crust may actually be the star of this recipe. This caused some controversy on the Tasty team. There are two kinds of people in this world. Those that like their pot pie with both a top and bottom crust, and those that just want a top crust. Yes, those are the things we fight about here at Tasty. We've actually covered a bunch of different crusts in one of our previous Tasty 101 videos, how to make the perfect pie. Go check it out if you want to see those tests to figure out how we came to the conclusion to make an all butter crust. To make our crust, we're going to start with some all-purpose flour, add a little bit of salt, and give it a mix. So next, add some very cold cube butter and give it a toss. We want to make sure each piece of butter is evenly coated in flour before we start breaking it down. You need to use cold butter here. If it's warm, it will melt and you won't get those beautiful flaky layers. A lot of recipes tell you to make butter into pea-sized pieces, but I personally like to just smash the butter in between my fingers to create lima bean-sized butter. Lima bean-sized pieces will actually result in a flakier crust than if you did pea-sized pieces. Don't stress about it if all the pieces aren't even size. We just want it to be bigger rather than smaller. So now you're going to begin incorporating your ice, water, and vodka mixture. Add the mixture a little bit at a time and use a rubber spatula to toss it all together to evenly combine. Vodka is our secret ingredient here. There's some science going on. It helps create flakier layers and actually inhibits gluten formation, which can be a blessing if you accidentally overwork your dough. So continue tossing your mixture together just until it comes together. You don't want it to be too wet and you don't want it to be too dry. It should look just like this when you squeeze it in your hand. You'll know it's too dry if it starts to crumble when you roll it out. And if it's too wet, it's going to be like a sticky, tacky dough, and you just want to avoid that. Dough can be intimidating, but it just takes practice. Just keep going at it and you'll finally get the rhythm of it. Great, the dough looks good, it's awesome. You might be thinking this looks super dry. Don't worry, you saw when I squeezed it in my hand, it came together. It's gonna do that exact same thing as we start to form it. Gently shape this into a rectangle, then we're gonna fold it in thirds, turn it 90 degrees, flatten it, fold it in thirds again. This folding technique is much like the lamination process you see in croissants and biscuits that help you get those extra flaky layers. Since Team 2 Layer Crust won our super official Tasty poll, let's divide our dough into two. Look at these layers. Those are the layers you dream about. At least I do. Take your two dough babies, wrap them tightly in plastic, stick them in the fridge. We recommend chilling your dough for at least 1 hour, but you can actually do this the day before or even up to 3 days. Let's talk filling. To me, there is nothing worse than a dry pot pie. You need the golden ratio of veggies to chicken to sauce. So we're gonna start by melting the butter in a large pot over medium heat. We like to add onions, carrots, potatoes, and fresh thyme. You can totally experiment with other vegetables like parsnips or butternut squash or leeks or beets, but we went with more of a classic version. We're gonna season these veggies with 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and we're just gonna cook it until the onions start to soften, about 5 minutes. After it's softened, we're gonna add the flour, and we wanna keep stirring so it evenly incorporates into the flour and there's no lumps. This will take like 2 to 3 minutes. Be patient and do not turn that heat up. If you let the roux brown too much, you could change the color of your filling, or even worse, burn it, and then you have to start over. Slowly whisk in the chicken stock a little at a time. You want to make sure that the chicken stock is room temperature so it evenly incorporates into your roux. If you try to add cold liquid to hot roux, it's going to seize up and create a lumpy filling. Nobody wants that. So remember, patience is key. Let it simmer until the stock has reduced into a nice thick sauce that coats the back of your spoon. For a little silky lusciousness, we like to add just a touch of heavy cream. Once it looks nice and thick, give it one last stir and turn off the heat. Then we're going to fold in our beautifully shredded chicken. Next, we're going to add in the frozen peas. Hear me out. This is the only frozen vegetable allowed in this dish. If you try to use that frozen veggie mix, you'll end up with a super mushy filling with no texture. We folded in some parsley for a bit of brightness. It's just a nice contrast for a rich and creamy dish like this. So now, take your filling and chill it in the freezer for 15 minutes. It's time to roll out the pie dough. Let it sit on your counter for 5 to 10 minutes just so it's a bit easier to roll out. You're going to want to flour your surface, flour the rolling pin, and flour your dough. Then gently roll out the dough, give it a quarter turn, keep rolling, and keep repeating. It's okay if it doesn't look perfect. We're going to trim the edges later. Both of our doughs rolled out to about a 12-inch circle. We want the bottom one just a little bit thicker so it's sturdy enough to hold our filling. The best way to move your pie dough is really just to roll it up on your rolling pin. Then it's time to put it in your pie dish. We like to use a glass pie dish. It heats evenly and you can see what's happening. Metal conducts heat a bit better, but it might leave you with a burnt crust, and we don't want that. So drip your dough over the pie dish, let it naturally find its place, and then you can make any adjustments. Press down the sides and make sure there's no air bubbles, and make sure it's really deep down, touching all the sides of the dish. Before you add your filling, we have another trick. Egg wash. You just want to brush the inside of your crust with some of it. It's going to act as a protective layer and prevent you from getting a soggy crust. Now that your crust is in, you're going to add your chilled filling. Just even it out so it's in a nice even layer. Gently drape your remaining pie dough over the pie, trim off any excess, then pinch the edges of the crust together, roll it under, and seal it together. Then crip it around the sides, just like this. All right, let's go with the egg wash. We want a nice even layer. Oops, it's a little chunky. I'm just going to smooth this out. Nobody saw anything. And we're just going to cut a few vents in the top to allow the steam to escape. Make sure you do this after you egg wash, because if you egg wash now, you would just be sealing it back together. Your pie is fully assembled. You are almost done. Can we just take a minute to bask in this beauty? All that hard work is totally paying off, but we just have one more step. We're gonna put this in the fridge just for about 20 minutes so it holds its shape when it bakes. You definitely don't want that butter to melt before you bake it. The grand finale is here. It is time to bake this bad boy. We like to bake our pie on the lower third of the oven, which helps to concentrate the heat on the bottom to ensure that crispy crust. Then we're gonna bake it for about 40 to 50 minutes, rotating halfway through. And just like that, you're done. You have this beautiful golden brown crust. Your filling is bubbling and juicy. It's incredible. But wait, I lied. You can't eat it yet. You need to wait 15 to 20 minutes to let it cool down so you don't burn your mouth. Really, I'm doing you a favor. So it's time to get that perfect slice. Some people like to go straight in for a scoop or whatever lands on their spoon. We think you should cut yourself a hearty slice. And you got yourself the ultimate buttery, flaky, indulgent, perfect chicken pot pie. Your friends and family are gonna love you a little more after this one.